Right, welcome back. It's been nearly 2 months since I finished the Citroen rally car. It's next project time. I've picked up a cheap little Star Trek kit because it's been 2 years now, coming up to 2 years since I built the runabout, which is my last Star Trek kit. And I picked this up pretty cheap, so here's the next project. Right, turning the camera around, it is the 1/2500 scale cadet version of the Enterprise-D. I don't know why I've never built an Enterprise-D before, because I absolutely love Next Gen. And you know, I love Voyager and I love DS9. So I picked this up pretty cheap, cost me $23.95 off eBay. Now this is the AMT Polar Lights version. They've reissued this kit with a new white box with Captain Picard on. Now, from what I can gather, looking on the internet and watching YouTube videos, the only differences between this one is a new box and a dome base and a metal rod for the stand. This hasn't got a metal rod or the dome base. So the box art's pretty nice, not too bad. Get a little basic synopsis and what the model could look like when it's finished. And it says it lacks what it lacks in size, it makes for in detail. You got the other kits from the Cadet series. So putting the box to one side, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parts to this kit. Very small indeed. So you get the two halves of the saucer. That's the top part of the saucer. Lines are pretty nice. Details not too bad. There's a bit of flash on the side that I've got to remove, but nothing too major. There's a bottom half of the saucer. Details not too bad. The saucer's probably about the size of my hand. You get the lower part of the hull and the deflector. In the reissued kit, like I said, there's probably a hole drilled about where my finger is. I've got to 100% double check that, because I've got some old bases upstairs I might be able to use, so I'm going to get them down and have a look at it. So I might have to drill a hole about here. There's the top part of the secondary hull. And then you've got the 4 warp nacelle parts. And that's it. Right, instruction guide is a 2-page guide. Fairly straightforward. And you've got the decal placement guide. Now, much like the reissued kit, this comes with the Aztecs. So you get 3 pages of Aztecs. And as you can see, the Aztecs looks absolutely amazing. So that's the first page. That's the second page. And turning that round, that's the third page. These Aztecs are worth price of admission alone, because if this kit didn't come with Aztecs, you'd be looking at about 30, maybe 40 quid for the Aztecs, and that's more than the model. Because like I said, the model was only $23.95 off eBay. So good little cheap kit. And I don't think this is going to take too long to put together. It's going to be the Aztecing and the detailing that's going to take the time. So there it is. Just my little kit review. So it's time to get cracking on. Right, I've done a bit of construction, just over an hour's work. So I cut all the excess bits of sprue off all the various bits, and especially on the saucer section, and then just give that a quick sand down with my fine sticky sanding paper on my little makeshift sanding stick, and just give that a quick sand. Got the locating pins, I think there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just ran a bit of glue round the edges and the locating pins and the holes. This is a snap tight kit, but I thought I'd just put a bit of glue in just for that bit of extra security. Put a bit of masking tape on to help the clamps grip a bit better, because around this part here, around the neck section, it didn't fully want to clamp in 100%. And around the neck there, where I've put that bit of tape on, I've had to do that as well, because I can't clamp it and it didn't want to go in 100%. So that's glue drying. Just leaning it on my specs box, my glasses. The warp nacelles, I just cut those off the sprue, did a bit of sanding. Again, there's 2 locating pins, one on each side, like diagonal. And then just ran a bit of glue around the edges and the pinhole. And then just put a bit of tape around to hold it. And then the front parts of the nacelle, where the red is, where you paint the red on, they didn't want to locate 100%, so I've just used the clamps to help that. And you get the secondary hull and the deflector. Now the deflector, you glue that into the top part of the secondary hull. There's a little mounting notch just underneath there with a little mounting, like a little channel. You just whack that in there, just a bit of glue around the edge, and then you just glue the lower part of the secondary hull with the locating pins. I think there's 4. I think one there, one there, one there, one there. Just a bit of glue just to give it a bit of extra security, and that helped traps the deflector and glue that into place. And then where I've put the clamp on there, that's just to hold the bottom section of the upper hull to the lower hull. So all I've got to do now is just wait for the glue to dry. Right, welcome back. I've now took all the tape off all the bits of the Enterprise. If you remember, I'd glued them all together and then I put the tape on to hold them down, some clamping as well. So on the saucer section, I've done a bit of filling here because I could only tape it and the tape didn't 100% clamp it down, so just a bit of household filler on this side here. On the secondary hull, you can see I've put some filler there. I've also had to fill in the sides here because the tape again didn't hold it 100% around the sides. Just normal household filler. And then last but not least, warp nacelles. I've put some on the front there, and I've put a tiny bit on the front here. I won't really know how well it's filled it in until I actually primer it. Right, now on the next step, it's telling you to put the saucer section into the secondary hull. The nacelles, I'm going to leave those until I've actually Aztec'd them and detailed them before I actually put them on the struts. Now from what I can gather on the instructions, if you look on the underneath of the saucer section, you've got 2 hold tabs, and those go into that tab there and that tab there on the secondary hull. Now according to the plans, you put this part on first and then you've got to push that down and then it will clamp into place, because if you look here at that tab there, you can see it's got like a triangular edge on the bottom, and that's actually the locking tab. So when you push that onto there like that and then pull that down, that's going to lock into place on the underneath. So that's what I'm going to be doing next, mounting the saucer section into the secondary hull. Right, I've now snapped into place the saucer section into the secondary hull at the neck, and I don't know how well the camera's picking up, but you can see there's a massive gap, and if you look just here, just in front of my finger, you can see daylight. You can actually see the mat. So turning this round on this side as well, you can see there's a huge gap and you can move it as well. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put some glue in there, and then I'm going to have to fill this, because you can see how wobbly it is. And the worst part about it is I can't even clamp it, so let's see how that goes. Right, welcome back. The glue has now dried in the gaps, because if you remember from the previous update, I had a gap issue and the saucer section kept wanting to wobble, so I had to glue it to give it that bit of extra security. The only problem is it kept wanting to dry off center, so this section here kept wanting to dry that side, left side, and the photon torpedo launcher here, that wanted to lean towards the left hand side. So after I put the glue in the gaps, I got some tape from there underneath the secondary hull and wrapped it around the neck and like a diagonal pattern, and hold that dead center. Now this is dried absolute dead center, as you can see. But the only drawback with that, where my thumb is underneath the deflector, I'm going to hold that dead straight, and you can see that it's leaning, pitching towards the left side. So I don't know if you can tell by this angle. So it's actually leaning on the piss this side, because you can see on there where the neck met the secondary hull, there's no gap. On this side there's quite a hefty gap, probably about 0.5 mm to 1 mm thick. So I've just got my normal household filler with my cocktail stick and just fed it into the gap. So I'm going to leave this to dry, and then I'm going to sand it tomorrow. I mean, to be honest, I'm quite happy the way it looks. I mean, from the side you can't tell it's on the piss. It's only when you look dead center from the front. So all I've got to do now is just wait for that filler to dry, sand it down. The main part of the Enterprise, along with the warp nacelles, these are all ready for primer. Right, welcome back. One last thing before primer. Any of you out there who's watching this video that has actually built this kit, I need your help. When I put the warp nacelles together, you got the port nacelle, which is part 35 and part 36. Starboard nacelle is part 37 to part 38. Now on the inside of the nacelles, I actually ripped them in the Sharpie so I knew which ones to glue together. Now on the nacelle, on each nacelle, actually I might be best off turning the flash on. There's a little square just above my finger there. Now I don't know if that square has got to go on the inside when I put it on the struts like that, or it would go on the outside when I put it on the strut there. So any of you out there, could you please tell me where that square goes, inside or outside, because I don't want to screw this up. Thanks in advance.